What's up again, everybody? I'm Clayton. Welcome back to Ages of Film. I know it's been a minute since you guys have seen my ugly face, but what can you do, right? I just, before we get into this video, I just want to apologize to everyone. A, for not being very active the past week. Two, for leaving you guys hanging a couple Sundays ago when I had to just leave during a live stream Sunday. The last week was crazy. All right, last week was absolutely crazy for me. Had some personal stuff going on that was an emergency I had to take care of. I wouldn't have left you guys hanging like that if it wasn't an absolute emergency. Thank you guys for sticking with me and being here. I really appreciate all of you guys very, very much for your support and for continuing to come back and check out my channel. So thank you guys very much. Everything's okay now. We're good. So I should be back in action. Things are always still busy for me. I'm in film school. I have a full-time job. I have other activities going on. It's crazy. It's crazy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So I just want to put that out there before we get into this video. Thank you guys very much for being here. If you're new to my channel, hit the like button. Helps the channel out a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, do so. If you're enjoying the content, it's another way to help me out, help out the channel. So, and just a few recommendations for everybody, other channels to go check out: Movies and Beyond with Michael, The Bearded Entertainment with Eric, Brian Lomax's awesome channel, and Peter Anthony's production. All those channels are just awesome channels with great content over there for all of you guys to enjoy. If you enjoy my channel, I know you're gonna enjoy those channels as well, because they're all better than mine. So yeah, go show those guys some love. Hit the like button, subscribe to their awesome channels, and yeah, let's get into this video. This is the video that you guys voted on. I posted a poll a couple weeks ago seeing what action franchise you guys wanted me to rank next, and Lethal Weapon won out. So we're going to be ranking all the Lethal Weapon movies today. You the people decide what I drop on this channel. I'm liking this. I'm liking, the whole posting a poll for you guys and having you guys vote on the content that I drop. So after all, this is America. This is a democracy, and we the people decide, right? So take liberty back. That's my campaign speech. Take liberty back. All right, so we're gonna be ranking all 4 Lethal Weapon movies. I did go back and watch all 4 of these recently. I wanted to have a clear, because it had been a while, to be honest with you guys. It'd been a while since I had seen these. My memory of them wasn't that fresh, so I wanted to go back and watch all of them to make sure, to see if my opinions or my thoughts about them had changed. And they did a little bit. So I honestly didn't expect this ranking to go this particular way. If you would have asked me prior to watching these movies again how I would rank these, it would look differently than how I'm about to rank them now. So that's why it's good. That's why I like watching a movie for my channel, so that I have a fresh take on it, to see if there's anything new, anything that has changed in my opinion with movies, because that it does happen. You watch a movie once, you watch that same movie a second time, and things might change with film. I think we should always be open to changing our position on a film. So, and I'm certainly, I certainly don't have any problem doing that. So this is my current ranking of the Lethal Weapon movies. If I watch this franchise again a few years from now, who knows? It might change. But as of right now, this is how I would rank these 4 movies. And just as a reminder to everybody, this is just my opinion on these movies. You don't have to agree with it. Let me know your ranking in the comment section. How would you rank these movies? What is your favorite of this franchise? Let me know anything and everything you want to say about this franchise in the comment section. And with that being said, let's get into ranking Lethal Weapon. All right, so and I'm gonna try to keep it pretty spoiler free for anybody that hasn't seen these movies. I don't want to spoil anything, but as I talk about some of these, there might be a few things that I need to say about the movie in order to explain where it is on my rankings. So and I'll just go ahead and say I do like all 4 of these movies. All right, I like all 4 of these. But my number 4, coming in at number 4, I'm going to go with Lethal Weapon 3 from 1992. Like I said, I like this movie. I like all 4 of these. I think this is a fun movie. I think that, Mel Gibson and Danny Glover's relationship, their chemistry on screen is really good together. They mesh really well on screen. It seems very real and genuine. I liked some of the action in the movie. I liked the story. I thought the story was interesting. You have Danny Glover's character, Roger, he's thinking about retiring. He's been in the force for a while now. And, he's into his 50s. I think by this point he's probably about 55. His character is about 55. And, he's thinking about hanging it up and just enjoying retirement. And his partner, Martin Riggs, played by Mel Gibson, isn't ready for Roger to retire because he still needs him. And I one thing that I really enjoy about this movie is seeing how these two's personal lives affect the other. We see Riggs, he needs Roger to be there for him. He's all that Riggs has. Riggs' wife passed. We find that out in the first movie. And he doesn't really have anybody. He doesn't really have any friends or anyone else. So the force and his job is really all that he has to do. The only thing that he feels like he's good at, the only thing that kind of brings him any type of satisfaction or pleasure in life is his job and his relationship with Roger. So I like how they kind of play with that in this movie, and I think it was an interesting story to pursue. What would happen to Riggs if Roger decided to retire and hang it up? Would he still do it? Would he still stay on the force, or would he hang it up too? And I thought the story was interesting. Obviously the characters are great. The action's pretty good. I liked it. It was entertaining. I don't know as far as the villain, the bad guy in this movie is kind of forgettable a little bit. I have to actually stop and think about, remind myself who the villain was. He's the guy that looks a lot like Don Corleone in The Godfather, to be honest with you. But that's I think of. But yeah, I don't know that the villain was necessarily all that good, and that's why this one's a little bit lower. Well, it is the lowest on this ranking for me, and that's, I think, one reason for it is that for the antagonist, the villain in this movie, I think is maybe the weakest. I never really felt that he posed any real threat to Riggs or Roger. It's not like he was a great fighter. It's not like he was like a super genius or anything like that. I just felt like he was the weakest villain. And so the plot, the tension between him and our protagonist, I don't think was as effective as the ones in the other films. So for that reason, it's coming down at the bottom, number 4. But again, I enjoy this movie. So moving on to number 3, I have Lethal Weapon 4 from 1998. I enjoy this one. I really do. I think it was a good way to end the franchise. I think, we kind of see both of these characters, Riggs and Roger, in a new place, a new chapter in their life. And we get a full arc with these two characters by this point. Roger finds out he's becoming a grandfather. And Riggs finds out that he's going to be a father for the first time. And he's dealing with, still trying to bring himself to move on from his first wife. And he's fallen in love with this other girl, but he still, you can still see the love that he had for his first wife. He still thinks about her. She's still in his heart and in his mind. And, I liked how they kind of pursued that side of Riggs's, life. Could he move on? Could he learn to love again and learn to allow himself to open up and accept that kind of love and find an anchor, find something that would allow him to hang up what he's doing and still have a life outside of his job. And they don't necessarily say that, Riggs or Roger are done necessarily. But you can kind of get the feeling that, okay, both of these guys have something to live for outside of the job now. If they decided to retire, they have something to live for. And that's what you want to see with these guys. By this point, you've invested 4 movies in with these characters. You want to see them, you want to see them happy. You want to see them get to that point. And, I think for me, that's what pushes this one above part 3 for me, is that it has a satisfying ending to it. And, it ends on a really good note. The payoff is there and it works. And I feel like the bad guy, the antagonist, the Asian guy is a actual threat physically. He takes both Riggs and Roger on at the same time and still kicks both their asses, so he actually poses, a realistic threat to these guys. So yeah, I enjoyed that as well. Some good fight scenes in here, which I enjoyed as well. I think some of the best fight scenes in part 4. So, yeah. And obviously Chris Rock is always entertaining. So yeah, Joe Pesci, Joe Pesci dude, I love that guy. I can watch him in anything. He's great in this one as well. And I love his little story about his frog that he gives. He tells Riggs about at the end of this movie. I think it had an emotional punch to it because that's exactly what Riggs needed to hear in that moment. So yeah, I enjoy it. I like it. It's number 3 for me. Moving on to number 2. So 1 and 2 here. Obviously, it's between the first and the second movie. And if you would have asked me before watching these movies back how I would rank these, I would have had these two flipped. But watching this franchise back, my opinion has changed. So my number 2 is actually the first Lethal Weapon 1, the original. I really like this movie, guys. If anyone has this as their favorite, I got no problems with that. You'll hear no argument from me. I thoroughly enjoy this one. It's a good action movie, good buddy cop, story. You get prime Riggs, when he's just, off the wire, off the cuff, and he's a loose cannon, and his character is very different, polar opposite to Roger, but they still share this kind of common sense of humor, like a very similar style of humor, which works for the film. They both bring something special and unique to the job and to their friendship. This is the movie we see them have to force to get along and come together. And I enjoy it. It's entertaining. I think the bad guys are good. Pose an actual threat again. So yeah, it's good action. Good. I love the fight scene at the end with Riggs, and the bad guy out in the yard. That was good. I enjoyed learning about these characters. In this movie, you find out, you see a lot in both of these characters and who they are. In this movie, I think it was really good character writing for these two main characters in the film. And I think Mel Gibson he brings an emotional touch to the film, especially in the scene, with, he's thinking about his wife that's passed, and you have the scene with him and the pistol. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, and you see how broken this guy is. Now he feels like just giving up and giving in, and he's got to find that anchor to hold on to get him through. And he finally finds that with his new partner. So yeah, really enjoyed this first one. Again, if anyone has this as their number 1, I got no problems with it. It's a fun ride, and yeah, it's my number 2. But coming in at number 1 is obviously the only one left, which is Lethal Weapon Part 2 from 1989. This is my favorite of the franchise as of right now. Again, if I watch this franchise again in a few years, it might change. But upon this previous watch through of these movies, this is my favorite. I just think for me, there's a couple of things that put it above the first one for me. One of them is I do think I enjoyed seeing Riggs. He finds this girl, right, and he feels like he can be vulnerable with her and fall in love with her, and this is kind of his the first time that we've seen him make an attempt to move on from his deceased wife, and try to find love again, and he loses. He loses this girl again, and he's got to deal with that, the consequences of what comes with his job, and can he have love and do his job at the same time. And it's also I think a very realistic take on life, you know, because that's how it goes sometimes. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. It's you know, it's not always daisies. Sometimes that's, you know, that's what life throws at you sometimes. And I enjoyed seeing that, you know, kind of realistic, darker side of life and how Riggs has to deal with that in this movie. So I did enjoy that. It also made it personal. It made the plot and the tension between him and our antagonist much more personal in this one, which again I enjoyed. So yeah, I like that one. I also liked with Roger's character, kind of seeing where he's at now with his family. And this was our introduction to Joe Pesci's character. I loved him in this movie. He's a ball of fun, man. So yeah, the action I thought was also incredibly entertaining and a lot of fun in this movie. It's got some great lines in it. The line that Mel Gibson says, Riggs says to the bad guy when he's in his office and he's pointing the gun at the bad guy. He delivers this line. He says, he says, what does he say? He says, he uses some profanity, and then he says, I'm gonna ship your nuts. I'm gonna clip your nuts off and ship them to you in a sling. Great line. I'm not gonna lie. It was yeah, I totally forgot about that line. And yeah, that got a solid laugh out of me. So yeah, some great lines, great dialogue in the movie. Another thing that I really enjoy about it. But yeah, all four of these movies are pretty close. If I'm being honest, I don't think like the gap between my 1 and my number 4, it's not like a huge gap. Like all four of these are pretty solid. You know, I enjoy all four of these movies. So yeah, that's it. That's my ranking of the Lethal Weapon franchise. Again, let me know your ranking in the comments section. Do you agree with my ranking? Let me know. And thank you guys for tuning in. I will drop another poll for you guys later this week on what content you want to see next. So keep your notifications on for that. And until next time, kick it and rock on.